Hello and welcome to the fourth video of this Java MTA course. Do remember this is part 6 and we are focusing on OOP. In this video we're going to be looking at the this keyword and as always I'm going to tell you the important things you have to remember for the exam and the key points, and then I'm going to be throwing questions at you to help you cement that information. So let's get started. The important points that you need to remember for the exam are that this keyword is a reference variable, and what it's referencing is the current object. So this is the abstract definition that you'll need to remember. However, in terms of how to apply it, you need to think it can be used to refer to an instance property, or it can be used to refer to a current class method. So it acts like a shortcut to either the property value or that class's method. Again, if you're confused with some of the word like instances, I would suggest you going back to watch that first video where I described the key words that you need to remember for the MTA exam. In addition, it's often used to add a value to a declared class property. Now, declared is another keyword that you'll need to get used to because it might come up onto the MTA exams. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be throwing some questions at you to try and cement the knowledge and allow you to see what it will look like in Java. So before we have a look at the questions, let's quickly describe what the code is about. So we have a class here, and then the class name is employees. As you know that these are the class properties or the class attributes. We have a constructor here. If you don't know what a constructor is, I would suggest you going back and looking at my Java video about constructors. And then we have two methods here. One method called check salary and the second method called change salary. Okay, so now that you understand a little bit more about the class, why don't you go and try and answer the 4 questions? So hopefully you've stopped the video. Let's view or look at some of the answers. So which line declares the name property? Okay, so we know that we have these class properties. The name property is here. So we know that it hasn't set the value, it's just created this space. So there's no value at the moment in it, it's just null. But it's declared that name property. So that's what declares means, is when you're declaring that space. So the line 3 is the line that we've declared our name property. Which line will now set the value for the instant property of address? So again, we know that up here we've declared it, but we haven't set a value on it. And this is when we start using our constructors to set values when we create the instance down here. So if we look here, this is the value from the constructor that will be inserted into this dot address. Now remember, this dot address allows us to reference or provide a shortcut to our class property. So we're using this dot address to insert the value into our address class property. So line 9 allows us to set that value. Which line could be described as an internal shortcut to the change salary method? Okay, so we've got the change salary method here. Now, what an internal shortcut means is calling that method from within the class. So to call that method from within the class, we're using again this keyword. So what will happen is this check salary method, it will go to this line and it will allow us to refer or create that shortcut to this method. So line 16 allows us to do that. The last one, what will be outputted from the following code? So this is a little bit more difficult. So we've created the instance here. We've added these values into the constructor. So his name is Fred, his address is Fed, and his salary is 1,200. So what will happen there is this information will now be set to these class properties through the constructor. And then we call the check salary. So what will happen is it uses this salary to again refer to our class property up here, because remember it's referring to its own class, and it's saying if this is over 1,000, call this method. Okay, so then it calls this method, and what this method does is it's just timesing this by 0.1, so it's reducing it by 10%. Okay, so it's, and then or it's making it 10% of it, and then it's turning it back into an integer, and it's returning it again into this salary. So it's saying what's 10% of the salary, whatever's 10% of that salary, put it back into the class property of salary, and then at the end it's just returning that value back. So then we're just printing out that value because we're returning it. So it should be 120, because that is the 10% of 1,200. So let's check your knowledge and what you can remember from this video. So if you can understand what you can refer to with this keyword, then I think you've got a good understanding of this video. If you can understand what is the difference between declaring and setting a class property, I think again you've got a better understanding. And if you're able to make some code that uses this keyword to navigate around your class methods, I think you've got the best understanding and you can start moving on to the next video. Again, if you found this video useful, please subscribe. If you enjoyed it, please like, and if you have any questions, leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.